England's daily life often challenges familiar expectations. Many imagine red buses and iconic cityscapes, but overlook the smaller moments that can feel less predictable. Did you know that conversations on London's streets rarely match the classic image of locals speaking only English? Consider a busy cafe in the city center. Every seat is taken, but the conversations weave together dozens of languages from around the world. Instead of constant British accents and tea, the reality is a mosaic of cultures. For Americans in particular, it often stands out that so much of what is seen as comfortingly British is, in practice, remarkably varied. This video will break down 10 real differences between life in England and the USA, focusing on practical daily contrasts few outsiders discuss. But before we continue, make sure to subscribe. Number 10. Multicultural London versus traditional expectations. Walk along Oxford Street at midday and you may hear French, Arabic, Polish, and Mandarin as often as English. London, while known for its history, now draws residents and tourists from every part of the globe. Stores and trains echo with dozens of languages, not just occasionally, but as a matter of course. In the United States, cities like New York or Los Angeles are also cosmopolitan. But even there, English dominates the background noise. London's blend is more immediate and visible. In a small cafe or corner shop, staff and customers might switch rapidly between Polish or Gujarati and English to serve everyone. Decades ago, it was rare to encounter such constant diversity on British streets. Today, it defines the rhythm of urban life. Americans usually expect a setting where English is spoken everywhere and traditions dominate, but London's streets challenge that idea at almost every turn. Number 9. Subway size. Compact tube cars versus spacious U.S. trains. The average American is used to large subway cars in New York or Chicago, where ceilings are high and the aisles have space for crowds. Step into a London Underground carriage and the immediate impression is different. The tubes are built narrow and curved to fit the city's Victorian tunnels. People over 6 feet tall frequently stand with heads just beneath the ceiling. During the morning rush, travelers are pressed shoulder to shoulder. This difference comes from the engineering constraints of the 19th century, and the legacy persists today. In the United States, post-war design favored wide-open spaces as a symbol of progress, visible in public transit, airports, and even parking lots. The tube instead uses efficiency and compactness, favoring practicality over comfort. Americans who expect room to spread out in public spaces may be surprised by how closely commuters stand in central London. Number 8. Boarding the train. Orderly queues versus the push to enter. London's rush hour demonstrates a different approach to public transport. At each station, passengers forming a single orderly queue wait for the doors to open. Those inside step off before anyone boards. This structured behavior is enforced by social pressure. The expectation is clear and observed by nearly everyone. In major American cities, particularly at busy times, crowds often move all at once. Commuters jostle for position, and both entering and leaving can feel hurried. The English approach can seem almost ritualistic by comparison, shaped by a respect for queuing that extends beyond transport to everyday life. For visitors, especially from the U.S., this immediate and collective order stands in contrast to the constant rush and improvisation of American commuting. The routine of waiting your turn is reinforced by decades of practice in British culture, and it shapes a calmer atmosphere even in a crowded subway. Number 7. Light switches. UK down for on versus US up for on. In England, most light switches are pressed down to turn the lights on, not up. For Americans, this reversal is regularly noticed the first time they enter a British home or hotel room. The American habit, up for on, down for off, runs deep, and the difference is easy to miss until you try to turn on the lights in the dark. This single detail often ends up surprising visitors because it interrupts a daily motion that has become second nature over decades. The reason traces back to different wiring codes and early electrical standards. In the US, the expectation that up is on continues in almost every home and public building, while England keeps its own system. Number 6. Power outlets. Switches on every socket. In England, each power outlet has its own dedicated switch. Turning on an appliance requires not only plugging it in, but also flipping the switch. Forgetting means devices simply do not work, even if plugged in. For Americans, outlets are always live, and anything plugged in will have power immediately. The British system adds a layer of safety, protecting against electric shock and reducing energy consumption. It also allows devices to be safely left plugged in for long periods without risk. This legacy of engineering caution shapes how homes and offices operate in England. Americans may find themselves double-checking that their devices are actually charging or their kettles are heating, something rarely required at home. Number 5. Tipping. minimal or optional versus mandatory in the US. Dining out brings a clear cultural shift. In England, tipping is rare in many restaurants and almost unheard of in cafes or casual eateries. When tips do appear, they are usually modest and optional. The final bill often lacks a separate tip line. American visitors, used to standard tips of 15 to 20% as an expected part of the meal, frequently feel uncertain about what to do. In the United States, servers depend on tips to supplement wages, leading to ingrained expectations about payment. In England, staff generally receive a full wage, and service quality is maintained without the pressure of tips. The savings may seem small per meal, but over time they alter the sense of dining out. The role of tipping is replaced by law and custom, not by voluntary generosity. Number 4. Cheese selection, wider range and local varieties. Grocery stores in England devote entire sections to cheese, displaying a broad variety of types, strengths, and ages. From mature cheddar to blue Stilton to regional specialties, choices change by region and season. In the United States, the standard case includes a few block cheeses or well-known imports. English culture has preserved the tradition of cheesemaking at a local and regional scale, a practice stretching back centuries. What may appear as a gourmet selection in an American shop is often just the regular weekly offering in England. For many American visitors, the depth and range on display provide an unexpected glimpse into local tastes and preferences shaped over generations. Number 3. Pedestrian crossings, left-side driving and new habits. Standing on a London curb, many Americans look first to the right, out of habit. In England, cars approach from the left, and crossings often require reading the road from the opposite perspective. British cities use look left or look right markings, painted directly onto the street to remind pedestrians, especially tourists, about the difference. In the United States, the expectation is to scan left for oncoming vehicles when crossing, a routine developed from a lifetime of right-side driving. The transition does not come easily. Even after days in England, many will instinctively check the wrong way, highlighting how deeply habits are built. The British city addresses the risk directly, using bold signs and pavement markings as a common-sense solution. Number 2. Hot and cold water, separate taps, not mixers. In many English bathrooms, especially in older buildings, sinks have separate taps for hot and cold water. The hot tap can run nearly scalding, the cold tap icy. Washing hands or face often means alternating between two streams or filling the basin to moderate temperature. In most of the United States, the mixer tap, allowing warm water to flow easily, has been the standard for decades. Americans tend to expect convenience and modern plumbing everywhere, making the English tradition feel dated. This contrast is especially notable in hotels, historic inns, and public toilets. While modern sink designs are spreading in England, the two-tap arrangement still has a strong presence and often challenges visitors' routines. Number 1. Jaywalking, permitted in England, prohibited and fined in the US. At street level, a major contradiction emerges. In London, jaywalking is a daily habit. Residents cross roads whenever safe, rarely waiting for signals. Police rarely intervene unless someone creates clear danger. In the United States, jaywalking often leads to citations and sometimes fines, especially in cities where pedestrian rules are enforced. Americans are conditioned to wait for walk signs and use official crosswalks. In England, following every rule without assessment would mark someone as unfamiliar, even distrustful of local judgment. The contradiction is plain. English society enforces careful order in queues and on platforms, but allows complete flexibility crossing the street. The model is not based on blind obedience but on shared judgment and local trust. In practice, this flexibility is accepted as a form of common sense, while other routines, like queuing or keeping to the left, remain strictly observed. Drop your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this.